On June 8, 1924, two pioneering climbers, George Mallory and Andrew "Sandy" Irvine, vanished into the swirling mists of Mount Everest's unforgiving summit ridge, leaving behind one of the greatest enigmas in mountaineering. Nearly a century later, new evidence has surfaced. A boot with a sock boldly labeled C IRVINE, encasing a preserved foot, unearthed by a National Geographic team. This discovery brings chilling clarity to decades of rumor, reigniting questions about whether they conquered Everest before Hillary and Tenzing. Join us as we trace this epic saga from the last sighting to frozen revelations, unlocking answers buried in ice and legend. The final ascent and last glimpse asterisk on that fateful afternoon of June 8, 1924. The fate of two intrepid climbers, George Mallory and Andrew "Sandy" Irvine, hung in the balance. At approximately 12:50 p.m., Noel Odell, a geologist turned climber acting as oxygen officer, reached a small rocky crag high on Everest's north ridge. There, amid thin, frigid air and a sky thick with uncertainty, he made what became the most agonizingly important sighting in mountaineering history. Odell's eyes, honed by years of Himalayan expeditions, caught two tiny black spots advancing steadily toward what he believed was the second step on the northeast ridge. Moving with surprising speed, the figures climbed above the rock, stepped to join a crest line before disappearing into swirling clouds, a final and haunting vision of Mallory and Irvine alive. What makes this moment eternally compelling is not just the precision of Odell's account, but the layers of drama and contradiction it carries. Though widely reported that he saw them near the summit, within what he considered about 800 vertical feet of the peak, subsequent debate has unfolded with vivid intensity. Did Odell truly see them ascending the second step? Or could it have been the first? The terrain's optical tricks in those heights, combined with fleeting visibility, cast long shadows of skepticism on his testimony. Still, despite the controversy, it remains the last authenticated sighting of the pair alive. On that same morning, as Odell ascended to Camp Vi, around 8,138 meters, he had already made a remarkable discovery: fossilized remnants of ancient sea life, a surreal iota of Earth's deep history, etched forever into Everest's icy frame. It was at this ethereal moment, perched atop a small crag some 7,925 meters above sea level, that the summit ridge cleared and revealed Mallory and Irvine in motion, lingering briefly between earth and legend, simultaneously. Back at Camp 6, the summit, attempt was already slipping away from the realm of safety. Odell found their tent stocked with partially used oxygen apparatus, spare clothing, and gear yet conspicuously devoid of any note, time log, or explanation that might clarify their delayed departure. Later that afternoon, as he whistled and yodeled into the gathering storm, there came no response. The mountains swallowed their trace. This moment, Odell's final sighting transformed Everest's steep slopes into an eternal enigma. It's a pulse of hope intertwined with dread. Two climbers, going strong for the top, pressed against time and gravity until vanishing into white oblivion. That haunting image continues to haunt climbers, historians, and storytellers alike. Was it ambition, hubris, ill-fated courage, or sheer misfortune that silenced them 800 feet from glory? The answer remains buried beneath ice and speculation, held fast in the memory of a moment and the testimony of a lone, vigilant observer. The vanishing act and early clues asterisk. In the silent aftermath of Mallory and Irvine's disappearance, Everest kept its secrets buried beneath snow and rumor until 9 years later, in 1933, when a glint of metal shattered the fog of speculation. It was May 30th, and Percy Winharris, inching his way up the familiar ice and rock toward the summit, spotted something odd lying casually on the ridge, just below the first step. A wooden shaft of an ice axe, peeked through the rock ordinary. In appearance, extraordinary in implication. Only Mallory and Irvine had ever climbed that far in 1924, and this axe, with its unique notches, belonged unmistakably to Irvine. From that moment forward, speculation gained weight and mystery sharpened teeth. The location of that axe, 8,450 meters above sea level, about 20 meters below the ridge crest and roughly 229 meters east of the first step, wasn't where you'd expect someone to casually drop their lifeline. Hugh Rutledge, the expedition leader, and others saw it as a grim marker of disaster. Slip or sudden fall may have led to its abandonment. But Noel Odell, the last man to see the climbers alive, entertained another possibility, that it had been placed there deliberately, left to be picked up on the descent when the terrain became. More technical. This discovery lit a fire under the decades of conjecture. If Irvine's ice axe had floated into the light, could the body, perhaps even a still-lost camera, be discovered too? The ice axe suddenly became more than just gear. It became a breadcrumb in a breadcrumb trail, a taunt to fate itself. Rumors of a Chinese climber spotting a body in 1975 added another layer to the tale. At about 8,200 meters, near the Chinese camps, he claimed to have seen the figure of an English dead, but because he died the next day in an avalanche, the story could never be confirmed or followed up. Fast forward to 1991. An oxygen cylinder, marked with the date 1924, surfaced near the first step. It was nearby, but still another whisper of what might lie buried deeper together. These clues, axe, sighting, cylinder, shaped the narrative for the 1999 Mallory and Irvine research expedition. If the frozen camera could be found, its film might finally answer the most tantalizing question of mountaineering. Did Mallory and Irvine reach the summit? But for now, the ice axe stands as a haunting relic, a silent sentinel of a vanished duo. It sparked a century of search, fueled countless theories, and ultimately transformed Everest from a mountain of snow into a monument of human ambition and mystery. It represents the bridge between history and legend, that slender shaft bridging the known and the unknowable. Rediscoveries and Mountaineering Legends *. In 1999, the mountain finally whispered back. After decades clouded in rumor and longing, the Mallory and Irvine research expedition broke through the silence. At 8,156 meters on the icy north face, Conrad Anker's intuition guided him past snow, past doubt, and into history. There, a patch of white in the scree revealed the most chilling and thrilling find of the century. George Mallory's body, frozen in time, lying prone, arms outstretched uphill, a rope still wrapped around his waist, as if tethered in his final moments. Imagine the cold breath of the mountain, that morning breath turned to frost, narrative turned to truth. With careful movements more sacred than scientific, the team removed jackets and discovered extraordinary artifacts. An altimeter shattered but telling, a pouch with dates and letters, handkerchiefs monogrammed GLM, a tube of petroleum jelly, a knife, each object frozen in its century-old journey. Yet, the photograph of Mallory's wife, destined for the summit, was missing, a silent echo that sparked the most tantalizing possibility yet. Maybe, just maybe, he'd reached the top. Dark snow goggles, nestled in his jacket pocket, whispered of a climber descending at night, battling fading light, pushing against time. These small details wove together a haunting image. Two men, at the very edge of history, descending into darkness. Conrad Anker spoke later of that moment with humility, calling it a very singular moment in my life. Something that will happen only once. The global heartbeat paused. News outlets buzzed-wired reported the identification via a name tag. Headlines blazed across websites. Yet amid closure, questions remained. Where was Irvine? What about the camera he'd carried, the Kodak vest pocket, possibly still holding images that could rewrite history? The world waited as the search pressed on, shifting from discovery to speculation. The absence of the summit photo marvelously teased both triumph and tragedy, turning Mallory's fall into epic poetry, not mere history. This chapter is not just about finding a body, it's about reframing a legend. It's the moment when Everest's whispered mystery burst into the daylight, when speculation was anchored by bone, rope, and cloth. And yet, paradoxically, it deepened the enigma. Did Mallory plant that photo at the summit? Were they descending after making history? Or did fate claim them just short of glory? This discovery transformed the mountain's silent facade into a stage for heartbreak and possibility, and it set the stage for every search that came after, each step echoing off Mallory's frozen figure. New discoveries and lingering questions asterisk. It was nearly a century before Everest whispered back with its most powerful secret yet. In September 2024, a National Geographic documentary team led by legendary climber and filmmaker Jimmy Chin was navigating the central Rongbuk Glacier when fate delivered what history had long denied: a boot, half revealed by melting ice, with a sock inside boldly stitched C IRVINE. Within that boot lay a foot Andrew Sandy, Irvine's foot preserved by the unforgiving small of Everest's climate. The moment they saw the name, desperation turned to euphoria. Film crew members were all literally running in circles, dropping F-bombs. As Chin later recalled, it was both a shocking closure and a spark of new possibility. For Irvine's relatives, especially his great-niece Julie Summers, it was deeply emotional, an object that belonged to him and has a bit of him in it, she said, describing the moment as extraordinary and poignant. This discovery didn't just answer where Sandy Irvine ended up. It transformed the century-old mystery into something tangible. Historians and climbers everywhere now had a real location to anchor their theories, a location that narrowed the search and refocused speculation about those final steps toward, or possibly away from, the summit already. The implications are stirring. Where is Irvine's Kodak vest pocket camera? Could it surface nearby, possibly with photos from the summit attempt, the ultimate proof of whether Mallory and Irvine triumphed nearly 3 decades before Hillary and Norgay? The absence of that key artifact continues to deepen the mystery, even as the boot provides a concrete clue. The team handled the discovery with urgency and respect. To shield the site from potential disturbances and trophy hunters, they turned the remains over to the China-Tibet Mountaineering Association, having secured DNA samples for confirmation. This find now offers closure to Irvine's family and the climbing world alike, yet it also reignites the question burning in every mountaineer's heart. Did they reach the top? This chapter elevates Everest from a frozen monument to one of drama, emotion, and unanswered questions. It offers a visual, visceral hook that viewers will not forget, that silent, solitary boot emerging from ice, weaving heartbreak with historical possibility. If you'd like, I can help bring this to life with immersive sound design cues, pacing suggestions, or visual transitions that ratchet up suspense right at that moment of discovery. Don't forget, if this story moved you, show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. That way, we can keep unraveling mysteries together.